Rape is wrong. I recently read a poem that I've written a long time ago and felt compelled to read to crowds over and over again about what it feels like to be raped. Now, I'm an artist, and I'm not a man who's a woman who experiences what most people who are raped feel like, because most people who are raped are, in fact, women and girls. So it's just my artist impression of what it felt like. And afterwards, some people came up to me, both a woman and later a man. We were talking about the fact that at the end of the poem, I didn't say rape is wrong. So they were unclear as to what I was saying about rape. Whether or not I was saying it was wrong, or was I justifying it because it was sexualized. I explained to them that as an artist, this is exactly what we wanted in life, for people to talk about our work, for people to think about whatever they think about me as an artist. If they're so uncomfortable with their thinking that that person on stage is trying to justify rape, I explained to them that I wanted them to walk away having a more clear decision about what they think about rape and what did they think. And this was a very difficult question for them to answer because I don't think they could embrace that I was even asking it, of what do you think about rape? And of course, the man kept going with the standard answer, rape is wrong, we all think rape is wrong, we all know rape is wrong. And so then I posed to him some scenarios and I said, well, what about that 14-year-old girl? And he said, well, it's, rape. And he started backtracking and saying, well, started with Darwinism, well, women have breasts so that they can attract men and reproduce, and therefore, and he went on this track of, well, and the most ripe age, for a woman to reproduce, they become at 13, and he was saying, so on one hand he said rape is wrong, but on the other he said there are some gray areas, and he specifically said gray area when I mentioned marital rape. He explained that you can understand how someone who's been having sex and used to having sex with someone, when they say no, then, and I said, so, a gray area. And then we talked about the fact that while we can disagree on this wide range of gray area, we can talk about what the details are. Can we at least agree that rape is wrong? Okay, he said, but what if this and what if that? I said, we can disagree on that, but where we should start is what we have in common, what we can agree on, and that's that rape is wrong. And in fact, I insisted that we had marital rape laws, and that unfortunately they were quite new. But we had marital rape laws that were quite clear on it. Well, how can you prove this and how can you prove that? And I said, yes, we can talk about all that and how can we prove this? But do we agree that we start with how do we respect that person before us? And we went around and around and around in this, and I'll get to why this was so disturbing to me, um, personally. But then it became disturbing to me on several levels because the woman in the conversation said, if we're meant to protect these women in our lives, how do we protect the women that we don't even know that we're offending? And she gave several examples. She said, she's the boss at work. Whenever a man comes in, he always talks to the other men and ignores her. And she always has to sort of tell him directly or indirectly, I'm the boss, I know something here. And she felt like, and she was saying in no uncertain terms, it's like being raped every day and I have to defend myself every single day. And I said, but are you listening to the woman who's standing here, who's saying that this is what we make them feel like? And I said that as an artist, I wrote that poem because I want us as men to think about what do we do to women that makes them feel like this every single day, even if we may not recognize it, we may not see it, we don't have any intentions of hurting, of raping women, but apparently women feel raped by our behavior. And I said, listen, even when this woman started describing this, you went off and talked with other guys and didn't want to listen to her. Oh, well, I've heard her talk about it many times, he said. I said, and that's how men get women out of the conversation. And that's how men marginalize women. Oh, well, I've heard it and I know this. And I insisted that this uncertainty about it becomes anger at the artist. And I said, as an artist, I accept your anger. With what I said, that you're squirming in your chairs. In fact, that's what we're going for. We want you to think about it. And if it makes you uncomfortable, this is what made me uncomfortable, because this is what this man started with. He said, because as a black man, you black men, you like this, I've heard, and he went, tried to apologize for saying this, but said, and I encouraged him to speak freely. And he said that you like to plant your seeds, and we know that you like to have lots of kids. So he was basically saying that in his mind, all black men are rapists. And so for black men to be talking about rape, unless you say, black man, rape is wrong, then we don't know that you think it's wrong. That's what he basically said. And that was very disturbing to me. But as the conversation went on, we talked about how youth are sexualized, and how this is a kind of way of normalizing rape, and that we're comfortable with that. We're comfortable with being able to walk down the street right now and go into a shop. And I said I had just come from, a long flight, and I've been in many airports where they have these huge magazine racks. And I said, you look at the magazine racks there, the magazine racks at the shop down the street, and they will all have these adolescent girls dressed up and sexualized as adult women. They'll all have middle-aged women dressed up as barely 18, and we fantasize and normalize about this barely 18, which is not legal. So it is, even our fantasy is based on what is rape. Our fantasies about barely 18 mean that we're fantasizing about an individual who is statutorily raped. That should make us uncomfortable. Yeah. But you said, and you didn't talk about, and you didn't find, and so of course he gave, you should have ended the poem like this, and you should have ended the poem like this, and you should have just said it. And I accept that, I'm not going to compare myself to George Lucas, but I accept that there's an entire fan base that has alternative endings to every Star Wars movie. I accept that even the artists themselves and the directors have alternative endings, and so in the DVDs they'll include, this is the ending we showed in the movie, this is a complete different alternative that we put in there. And I understand that sometimes people want or even need that didactic moment, that this is wrong, I'm telling you this is wrong moment. And I accept that as an artist, what I want people to do is to feel what it feels like, to feel that violation. To understand that we have the capacity, even just through art. So we don't actually have to we don't have to be raped to understand that rape is wrong. We don't have to be a woman to understand what it's like to be aggressed as men on a daily basis. And I think that's the role of an artist, is to be able to say and show people that, so that we don't all have to experience it firsthand, but that we can experience it cognitively, and we can learn to better empathize with one another. And then he said, but you're a gay guy. I know you're gay. And I assumed it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gay. So where's he going with this? And I'm thinking, well, doesn't me being gay at least make you question about whether or not this guy is, wanting to plant his seed? Doesn't it even make you question that what is ultimately a racist assumption about me? Because, of course, why would a gay guy be up there justifying rape? And now, by this time, I've decided that, so now he's figured that if there were a white guy up there talking about it, same poem, it'd be clear that the white guy felt that rape was apparent. I find it interesting because in reading the poem, I get pretty worked up and pretty angry, and it's pretty vulgar. And at least the first part of the poem, it's pretty clear that this is disgusting, what's happening to this person. And this person realizes how disgusting this is. And I thought about editing the poem and adding this, well, rape is wrong. But now I'm here as an artist having to write more poems about the ways that men can justify raping someone.